The 2024 MINI Countryman has undergone a bit of a change. It is now the largest car MINI have ever made, plus it is built in Germany and shares a platform with the BMW X1. But does it still have its unique MINI-ness? Let's find out. Welcome to Four Wheels and a Seat. I'm Alex Dalrymple. This is my channel for people who might be looking for a new car to buy and don't know which way to turn. I'll help you out with an easy to understand, straightforward review. You don't want to miss an episode though, so please do hit the subscribe button down below, the notification bell, and if you enjoy the video, give me a like. The Countryman has grown to now become a serious contender in the compact SUV category. It's actually practical and still a lot of fun to drive, as we'll soon see. From the front, you're not going to mistake this for anything other than a Mini. It's not a clean sheet design, it's sort of more of an evolution of what was already there. It's become a lot more sleeker and clean. I really like it. The headlight clusters now include driving lights that you can change the pattern of depending on the drive mode you're in, and the same thing can be done at the rear as well. From the side here, you can see that it is still Mini, but it's sort of evolved. It's obviously a lot bigger, but I like what they've done here. It's all sort of very clean and sleek. The color up here on top of the roof and here on the rear vision mirrors is actually called Vibrant Silver, although to my eyes, it actually looks more gold, and that color is also in the 20-inch alloys that are on this car. There are optional 19s, and I think that the design of those is actually a little bit better than these, but you know, horses for courses. The plastic arch here, I'm not sure about. I mean, look, it is obviously designed to hide chips that you might happen to get, and that's fine, but I'm never a fan of grey plastic on cars. Moving around to the back here, a big difference, as you can see, and I think actually the rear end is probably this car's most striking angle. The spoiler here comes up over the top of the rear windshield, and the whole sort of tailgate here just kind of falls down almost vertically. Nothing to see in terms of exhaust pipes under there. They're sort of hidden away, so you could be forgiven for thinking this car is electric, which it is not. And under the powered tailgate is a huge storage space. Well, huge for Mini anyway. 420 litres with additional underfloor storage here, making this actually an incredibly practical space. Of course, you can lower the rear seats if you need some extra room, but for families or people who need to move stuff around, this is actually a really good practical solution. The engine here in this mid-spec Countryman S is the same as the Cooper S. So it's a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol turbo engine that outputs 150 kilowatts and 300 newton meters of torque. Sends power to all four wheels via a 7-speed Steptronic transmission, and fuel economy clocks in at a slightly thirsty 7.6 litres per 100 kilometres. And despite this car's size, it really moves. I really like the all-new interior of this car. It is so fresh and so completely different to just about anything else out there on the road, and yet still Mini. There's a few bits of BMW switchgear that have survived, like the steering wheel, the window switches, and the stalks, but other than that, this car is pretty much completely its own thing. The first thing you notice is the material up here on the dashboard, which is actually sustainable and made of recycled plastic bottles and bits of leftover carpet, and that extends over here onto the door. I'm not quite so mad about this gradation from the blue to the sterling silver color that matches up here on the roof that to me kind of looks brown, but you know, it's an interesting design choice. But it's the center console screen that really grabs your attention the most. This is an all-new system with a 12-inch LED screen that is absolutely gorgeous with a razor-sharp picture. It is extremely responsive and has a lot of fantastic tech in it that is not just a hand-me-down from BMW. They have very much developed their own new software for this system, and it is really, really good. The native navigation, for a change, is actually much better than anything from Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I know that's a big call, but the way that it presents on screen really does look a lot nicer. There's loads of customization and functionality through this screen. In fact, almost arguably too much, because pretty much every single function runs through the system, which means you do have to take your eyes off the road to do basic things like changing the temperature, for example. There's, you know, maybe a few things they could have left out here as physical buttons. Wireless Apple CarPlay, of course, and Android Auto both work really, really well. And there is also a hands-free system. This car has even got a little mascot that they've named Spike, who appears up on the screen, and you can activate him by saying, "Hey Mini." He's not listening now. Also up here on the dash are some light patterns that are projected onto this dashboard, and they actually come from behind the center console screen here, and quite cleverly they actually change pattern depending on what drive mode you're in. It's a really nice touch. There is a lot more I could talk about with this screen. In fact, I could probably end up doing an entire video just on this. But one of the nicest touches is the experiences modes. And they're like drive modes, but they change the color and the feel of the interior and not just the performance of the car. Like go-kart mode, for example, is pretty much what a normal car's sport mode would be. But it changes the lighting here on the dash to red and puts a nice sporty pattern on here, and also gives you a big sporty go-kart style instrument cluster display on here. The go-kart mode also introduces a bit of fake engine noise, and I think it's actually the best fake engine noise I've heard in any car. Moving down beneath the center console screen is a small little cluster of rocker switches here. They're quite Mini-esque. One for the sound system. Your experiences mode is a rocker switch that goes up and down. Then we've got the engine stop-start here, which mimics a key. The gear shifter is next to that, and that's again just another rocker switch that goes up and down for reverse, neutral, and a push button for park. There's no separate park brake. It's all combined into one system. We've got wireless phone charging under that, storage cubby under that, a couple of cup holders, and then not much else down here in the lower console. We've got a little storage bin here that looks like you can remove it, but you can't. It's bolted in place. There's no storage under the armrest, but it does move backwards and forwards. 12-volt outlet down there, 2 USB-C ports. There's no instrument cluster in front of the driver. Instead, we've just got a head-up display that again changes its display depending on what drive mode you're in. And it can be seen with polarized sunglasses, which is a big win. Then moving on to the steering wheel. Okay, this is straight from BMW. It is big and chunky and has a fantastic feel to it. I really like this wheel. The switchgear on it is straight from BMW as well, but it's interesting because Mini have now got this chunky wheel and BMW are going to skinnier wheels. Like the i4, for example, had a much thinner wheel than this one is. The seats are leatherette, although you'd have a hard time telling them apart from the real thing. There's full electric adjustment with lumbar support. They're heated and they really do look like BMW seats, but that's no bad thing because they are extremely comfortable. We've got the Mini stitched on there as well. The seating position, it's actually quite high in the cabin, but I mean, this is a Mini and I've got so much room, and I'm, 190 centimeters tall, and I've got loads of headroom and I'm not feeling cramped in any way whatsoever. The rear seat might be the biggest surprise for me anyway of this Mini because there is so much room. My knees are not touching the seat in front. That is unheard of for an adult who is 190 centimeters tall sitting in the back of a Mini. Loads of footroom too. And my head nowhere near the ceiling. This is just unbelievably spacious. Look, it's not that wide. You would struggle to get 3 adults in here. 3 small children would be fine. 2 USB-C ports there for backseat charging, and more of this nice material that we had in the front, the sustainable material here on the rear doors. Armrest, cup holders, they look quite BMW-esque. And yeah, this is a really nice rear seat to sit in. So the Countryman S and the Cooper S share the same engine, and the Cooper S is a much smaller car than this one, but what's interesting is that Mini have managed to engineer the Countryman in such a way that it in no way feels underpowered. You have mountains of go. In the default core mode, this car is pretty quiet. Not a lot of noise to be heard from the engine except when you put your foot down hard, but as soon as you flick it up to go-kart mode, and we get that Simpsons-esque woohoo, you can hear a lot more engine noise in the cabin, and that is artificially produced. But I think Mini have done the best job of any fake engine noise I've ever heard, because this really does sound like the real thing. No adaptive suspension in this model. You've got to step up to the JCW for that, but The ride feels actually perfectly tuned for day-to-day driving. It's firm, but really not overly so. Is the MINI Countryman a turn-back car? A car so good looking you have to turn back and look at it after you've parked it? Yeah, I think it is, because not only is it distinctive and unique, I mean, I can tell you in the week I've had this car, I have not seen one other Countryman of the current generation on the road. It's funny though, you do notice just how many Minis there are though on the road. There are stacks of them. It's just one of those things, until you're driving one, you don't realise how many of them are out there, but they're everywhere. By most definitions, this isn't really a luxury compact SUV. Yes, it's made in Europe and it is made by a luxury car maker, but it's not quite on par with, say, a regular BMW or an Audi or something like that. But I'm actually struggling to think of any features that are missing, because it's all here. Maybe the tilt adjustable steering isn't electric, it's manual, but apart from that, this car has it all. The official combined fuel consumption figure of 7.6 litres per 100 kilometres is not the most efficient, but anecdotally speaking, in the week I've had this car, just looking at the fuel gauge, it does seem to go down a little bit quicker than a lot of other cars I've driven lately. A lot of the people who drive Minis are really obsessed by them, including my friend Jason, who helps me film a lot of these videos, and he did a great job on today's one, incidentally. And look, I don't think I'm ready to join their ranks right now, but I am starting to see what they see in these cars. They are so good and so well made and so nimble and just so perfect for the city, being able to get in and out of tight situations and into tight car parks. And in the case of the Countryman, with its really pretty big boot, it is such a practical car to own around town. I really like it. The MINI Countryman is hands down one of the most impressive compact SUVs on the market. It looks really good, I think anyway. Drives really well, it's practical, great for families or people with dogs, and it is incredibly reasonably priced. So if you're in the market for a compact SUV, do yourself a favour, check one of these out.